Hello and welcome to the Bird Tales. Today is, it is the third day of Minnesota's pheasant season, and it has been a very good pheasant season. In fact, Gilly and I just shot our limit of pheasants. He's not in there though because we drove home to escape the wind. And you will get to see all of that hunt in the next episode of the Bird Tales, because right now I have to tell you about my previous week of upland bird hunting adventures, which was hunting sharp-tailed grouse in the wide open plains of western South Dakota with my good buddy Micaiah. Now I did go hunting with Micaiah for sharptails on an episode 2 or 3 years ago. And if you recall, on the first day of that, we got our butts kicked, and then we did good, and then we got our butts kicked again. As you'll see, that's kind of a trend for us. Now, I've been on plenty of hunting trips that went poorly because of things that I was in control of. Missing birds, forgetting to load my gun, the dogs bumping the birds, going to the wrong spots. And on those trips, you tend to beat yourself up for days and days and days. But this was different because it just didn't seem like there was anything that we could do. The biggest problem was that the birds were grouped up and they were smart. We spent a lot of time walking over hills and going, oh look, there they go. See you later. And I don't know if it was due to pressure or if it's just getting to be that time of year, mid-October, sharp-tailed grouse, wide open prairie. It's starting to get tough. Now normally I just go through day 1, day 2, day 3, day 4 and show you everything as it happened. But if I did that, you would see about 25 different moments of us running up over a hill and watching birds fly away out of range. So I'm just going to show you a short montage of that. Like a hunting spot. Way out in the corn. Oh, good. There they are. Oh no, right down there. And pronghorn. Watch them, watch them. Right there. They're getting up. Oh, they're in that corn. Bird's kicking out of the corn. Right there, top of the hill. Son of a bitch. They're watching for us. Where'd they come from? And now we'll just dive into the action part of it. Day 1 actually started the expectations off pretty high. We parked at our first spot, and as we parked, a pair of sharptails flew in and landed out kind of where we were planning on going. The trouble on day 1 is that it was 75 degrees at 5 o'clock in the afternoon. So the scenting conditions were tough and the dogs were getting wore out really quickly. But we did go after those 2 birds, and we did manage to find one of them. Right there. Where did that one come from?
I don't know.
Good boy, Tipper. Hold it, hold it, hold it. Okay. Good boy. Hey, we're on the board. Now, as it happened, the plan had been where we parked, we were just going to walk up this hill with the wind in our face. And because of those 2 birds had flown past us and we went after them, we ended up going around the hill and coming over it with the wind at our back. So you'll see Skip goes past this bird and wings around.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to take my sling off, otherwise I'm just gonna kill that bird.
Whoop!
Get up. Go down.
Let's put this on. Now I watched that bird go and land right next to a tree, so I knew exactly where he had went. So we went down to the car, put Skip away, got Gilly, worked our way over there, and Gilly was able to find that bird. But for some reason I either had shut the camera off or I just didn't grab the recording of it because I don't have it anymore. But we did get that bird. All right, day 2, the weather had us again. It rained the whole night. And then it rained until about 9 o'clock. We tried to hunt earlier in the spitting, icky rain, but it was just terrible. So it quit raining at about 9 o'clock, and then we really actually got after it. So, just like I said, Micaiah and I are walking up this hill, and we see a big covey of birds get up way ahead of us and fly off to the east. Well, it didn't look like they had went very far. It looked like they were actually trying to go down. So we worked our way over there, and our options were either go up over the top of this hill and hope that they're right here on this edge, but they're probably going to be out here, and then we're going to have really long shots, or go around the hill and try to hit them from the side. So we chose to go around the hill. The bad part being that those birds had just landed there maybe 5 minutes earlier, and the wind is blowing perfectly at our backs. So we go around the hill. I send Gilly up there, and he just trots along right into the middle of the covey. But that worked out pretty well.
Come! Drop. All right, find a bird, find a bird.
I think we both tickled this guy.
Hey, bitch.
bad, huh?
That's half a limit. So then we went to our next spot and saw probably the biggest group of sharptail that I've ever seen. It started, we walk over this hill, and a small covey of, I don't know, maybe 6 or 10 got up, and it's like they grabbed another group, and then that grabbed another group, and then that grabbed a bunch, and we watched as, I don't know, 50,
Following the telephone
80,
poles.
100, a ton of birds left this hillside.
Right here, more. Jesus Christ. Oh, more.
Yeah.
We're going that way.
Go down.
Whoa.
That was so many birds.
Go down.
I lost him down there.
I still got him.
They went probably a little over a mile, and it looked like they were kind of scattering out in this valley. And the only reason that I thought they had went down is I could see this flickering, almost like sparkles, and then it stopped. And so I figured that had to have been roughly where they were. Anyway, we know there's a lot of birds down there somewhere. Let's just go. So Micaiah and I made a big loop around and ended up coming back once again with the wind at our back, going over the top of a hill and thinking this is probably going to be the best spot.
Or they could be up here too still.
Fuck. Look at all this.
So after that big covey, I don't know if you call it a covey, if it's like 10 coveys and it's like 50 birds or 100 birds, I don't know, and they all go together, is that a covey anymore? But anyway, they all took off and landed in a bunch of trees on a creek bottom. So we said, we're not going to go after them. And it was a good thing we did, because it started pouring on the way back to the car. And it did not stop pouring. It rained the whole rest of the afternoon and through the night. On day 3, it was the same story again. We had hunted a whole bunch, seen a lot of birds fly away. We watched this one group of birds fly off over a hill again. So we just continued after them. And as we came to the top of the hill and we're rounding over it, Skip went on point.
There you go. No way, no way, no way! Hit the hill, hit the hill. Fetch it up! Fetch it up! Where is it? Fetch it up! Fetch it up. Get it, Skipper. Atta boy!
We'd hunted a few more spots on day 3. This was our best full day with good weather. But on our last spot, our last hunt of day 3, we happened to be just walking back to the car in a random spot in a wetland bottom. And a sharptail flushed by Micaiah.
Atta boy.
I thought he was going. There it is. Good boy, Gilly! Thank you, buddy.
Good boy, Gilly. Oh.
He got up and it was a poke to begin with, and I just was, well,
Gonna try.
And finally, day 4 of our trip, which is only a half day because I wanted to get on the road to get home. Micaiah and I had the same story happen. We watched a lot of birds fly away, but to add insult to injury, we're working our way towards an opening in a fence. And there are some cattle down here in the fence. And there's a corner here in this pasture. And these cows are kind of panicking as we're walking up. They want to get away from us, but they really need to go this way. So as we get closer and closer, there's a little bit of a bowl right here on the other side of the fence. When we get close enough, those cattle run this way. And as they do, they flush a covey of sharptail. And if those cows had not have been there, where those birds were sitting, they would not have been able to see us until we were well within shooting range of them. And those birds flew off out of our lives. Micaiah and I looked at each other and said, enough, let's go home. So South Dakota was a bit tough, but that is okay. Hunting has to be tough. If it's not tough, it's not worth doing. If you can just shoot birds all the time and always get your limit, then you might as well just go to Costco and pick up chicken. It's way, way cheaper. And if it had been, oh, I forgot to load my gun. Oh, I keep missing birds. Oh my God, the dogs are just running through coveys. I would have been pretty upset about how it turned out. But we went, we did our best, and we got what we got. And of course, I recorded my miles using the OnX app. Day 1 in the heat was 4.5 miles. Day 2 in the rain was 6.2 miles. Day 3, the best day, was 11.3 miles. And day 4, the half day, was 6.7 miles. Which is also a little bit of a bummer because I was really hoping to be like, yeah, we did 42 miles in those 4 days. But the hot weather and the rain and the traveling put a hindrance on how many miles we could walk. But so be it, I just need to walk more later. That's a total of 28.7 miles, which I'm going to round down to 28 miles. And 28 times 5 is $140. Add that to our previous weeks, and that is $370 raised for the conservation of wild things and wild places. Big thank you to OnX. Once again, if you don't have OnX, you should have OnX. You can use it to track your miles, find new places to hunt, find birds, have big adventures, all of the above. I think that was probably the most upland birds I have ever seen on a hunting trip. We saw hundreds and hundreds of sharp-tailed grouse while we were hunting in South Dakota. And there's a reason why we saw so many birds. It's because people chose for them to be there. People value cattle and pasture land, and the birds like the pasture land. But if someday we decide that we want parking lots instead, or someday we find a way to turn that hilly, rocky country into soybean fields, well then there won't be sharp-tailed grouse out there. And that is why we need people like you to become a champion for conservation. Join a conservation organization. Buy a conservation stamp, a duck stamp, a state habitat stamp, pheasant stamp, whatever you have. Get involved in the local, state, and federal politics of conservation. All of these things are really important to keeping wild things and wild places. And then the last thing that I have to mention, October 30th through November 7th is the Upland Open, where you and a friend can go out bird hunting, take pictures of your birds, take pictures of your dogs, take pictures of your score sheet, post those on social media to hashtag the Upland Open, and just have fun with it. If you don't know what I'm talking about, there is a link below to a previous video I did that explains the whole thing. Will and I are going to be heading out chasing after all manner of birds to see what kind of score we can put up, and I challenge you to try and beat us. Alright, we have had a fantastic 3 days of the Minnesota pheasant season, and the next episode is going to be really good. So, look forward to that. I appreciate you watching. Stay tuned for next time. See ya.